Hey friends, welcome back to another Star Wars podcast, Mandalorian edition. Woohoo! Yeah. That feels so good to say. We're not on Bad Batch Breakdown now. We are on, what are we calling these? Mando reviews? Just Mandalorian.
Yeah, Mando Breakdown, I don't know.
Mando Breakdown. But now we got,
it just
sorry,
doesn't
go ahead.
roll off the tongue when you say Mandalorian, but that's okay. It's just the Mandalorian Season 3 breakdown episodes.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We got a double whammy these next few weeks. We got Bad Batch, and now we've got Mando, which makes it a packed week for us. So the posting schedule is going to be a little wonky, but Bad Batch is only lasting like 4 more weeks, and then it should even out a little bit. But we're here to talk Mando. So, well, first things first, like and subscribe to the channel. Oh. No, like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. If you're watching the channel every week, you should subscribe, because we have a lot of hijinks and fun reaction videos and a lot of fun Star Wars stuff. So if you enjoy being with us, you should like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when all the new stuff is coming out. A few days ago, Matt and I did a live stream. We did a live reaction and breakdown of the latest Bad Batch episode, which was very last minute, so sorry about that. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed that.
We'll edit that too, and like condense it down a little bit, and then put it on the channel in case you missed it. Because I know it's probably tough. People don't want to rewatch the whole episode, which is what we did, and then we couldn't obviously show it because of copyright. So we'll re-edit that in there and then repost it so people can watch that if they'd like.
If that's your thing, if you don't like to watch the live reactions, but I think they're fun because we get to interact with people in live time, and it's just really cool. We actually got some pretty good theories from a couple users on that live stream. So it's kind of fun to see those come in real time and then to talk about them, and then that way people can react with it going on at the same moment. But first things first, should we get into Star Wars news?
Yes. I don't really have anything though, do you?
You know what? I don't know at the top of my head. I haven't really seen anything this week, but then again, I've been
a little preoccupied with Mandalorian and Bad Batch, just watching them and then obviously making content for it. So I don't know. I didn't really see a ton. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm not. You know what? Let me just look up Star Wars breaking news. Let's just see if anything. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to look up Star Wars and then hit news, because usually that'll work. Oh, okay. I guess we have. No, that's not really news so much as it is a commentary.
What?
That thing where I don't think it's news. I don't think it's news at all. So unless we have news, I don't think that we're going to have our little section today.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have to.
This might be the first episode in a while where we haven't done Star Wars news and displayed our lovely logo. So
yeah, I think the only thing I wanted to mention was, and I don't know, I haven't seen it yet, but I think yesterday there came out a trailer. I guess they are making a documentary on the Star Wars Holiday Special, and I guess
there was a trailer.
I guess that dropped yesterday. I haven't watched it yet, but
what?
Yeah, I think we can watch it right now.
Wait a minute, I want to look this up.
Yeah, IGN. Let's see here.
Wait.
In 1978, Lucasfilm made a huge mistake they prefer we all forget. The Star Wars Holiday Special.
Lucasfilm is still saying, Martin, we shouldn't talk about that. Nobody is allowed to mention this.
No, you don't remember?
It is so bad, it's not good.
You have to see the Star Wars Holiday Special to believe it. The Emperor said we can't show the special in this trailer. But rest assured, you will see all the clips you can handle in the documentary film, A Disturbance in the Force.
The Star Wars Holiday Special is sort of like the holy grail.
I wanted to see this more than I wanted to live.
We're starving as fans for anything Star Wars.
So funny and so stupid at the same time.
We have seen something that we weren't supposed to see. How did this happen?
To find answers, we traveled back and experienced the insanity of 1970s variety television.
When 70s TV was bad, there was no description for it.
We have to watch this.
World is George Lucas allowing this to happen?
You intergalactic fool. Think you know about the Star Wars Holiday Special? You don't. A disturbance in the Force. A story 45 years in the making.
You know what? That's a really good trailer. Like that's actually really funny. And the title of that, A Disturbance in the Force, that's hysterical.
Yeah, I just wish Disney was making it, you know? I wish Disney would just be like, look.
Like, have the balls to do it.
Yeah, just like address the thing. It would do really well. I mean, this is going to do really well. I wonder how they got approval to do that. But either way, yeah, it looks good.
Is it put on by IGN? Like, who's doing it? Like, is it an IGN thing or?
I don't know. It might. I think it is. HolidaySpecialDoc.com. Yeah, I don't know. It looks good though. I'll watch it.
No, that's, you know what we should do is we should watch that on the channel. Like, we should do like a reaction to it, like how we did for the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Sure.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
Sure,
and I love that like people are addressing its horribleness. I mean, like, part of the reason why people like it so much is because of its sheer horribleness. Like, it's just a crappy thing that was made, but people love making fun of it. So it would be nice if Disney would if Lucasfilm would be like, yes, this was made and it was horrible, but we're all going to laugh at it together.
Yeah. I know. I wish, I'm hoping one day, I'm holding out for one day Disney will release something and it'll come on Disney Plus and they'll make a killing. Because people are interested in it. But yeah, I mean, look, we should definitely react to that. We'll watch it. And if you guys want to see that, like and subscribe because we'll do it when that comes out. But yeah, that's the only piece of Star Wars news I had today.
Yeah, I didn't really see anything going around on Twitter other than like the usual rumors about like Andor or the Acolyte or Star Wars Celebration. But yeah, I think we can get straight into the Mandalorian Season 3 premiere. Let's
do it. So first things first. Before we jump in, I just want to say what a delightful episode. What a delightful introduction back to a now new beloved Star Wars character, two beloved Star Wars characters, and I had a really fun time watching this. I feel like Mandalorian is everything Star Wars is supposed to be. It's just gotten better and better with every season. I know some people didn't love this first episode, but I was just excited to see it. I was excited to see these characters back. I loved the practical effects and I loved the storyline and how they introduced some of these characters back after 3 years. So I was really excited to see this. To me, it was a very good first episode back in almost 3 years. So very, very happy overall. What has been almost 3 years? No, not quite. I mean, two.
Well,
2 years,
I mean,
whatever.
in December it would have been 3 years.
Yeah, so like 2 years, 2.5 years maybe.
2.5 years.
Yeah, so guys, let's jump into Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1 breakdown. This episode was directed by Rick Famuyiwa. I always have a tough time saying that name. And written by Jon Favreau. If we want to do a quick plot summary, it is The Mandalorian begins an important journey.
These summaries are getting shorter and shorter and vaguer and vaguer. Like, I remember a time where they actually used to describe what happens in an episode, or at least like the general idea, but now they're like extremely vague and generic.
So vague. It's so vague. And also, like, obviously, like, we're starting the season. Of course he's beginning an important journey. It's the whole first new season. All right, let's jump into the scene by scene breakdown. So we start on an unknown planet. The Mandalorian armorer is making a blue Mandalorian helmet. She brings the helmet to another Mandalorian initiation ceremony by the riverbank, and we see a young boy swearing the creed before they put the helmet on him.
A Mandalorian baptism, if you will.
Yeah, 100%. That's what it is. Here's my question: is this all the Mandalorians left? Like, is this just like a weird little faction of them? Like, what is going on here?
I think it's a weird little faction. I don't know, because the Mandalorian culture is a lot like, you know, like they're like the Protestants that broke off from the church, you know? Like, that's kind of what they are, or at least that's how Bo-Katan sees them. Where she's like, hey, you guys are like the culty part of the Mandalorians, so this might just be a tiny little faction, because I was under the impression that they were kind of scattered throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
Or at least that's the vibe that I was getting from this scene. So I guess there's like, oh, wait a minute. No,
so
I take it back. I take it back, actually. Do you remember, I think it was the end of season 1, there was an entire group of them on Navarro, and then Mando comes back and he finds out that they were all killed?
Oh, right.
Do you remember that? And he goes to see the armor, and she's like, we're all dead here, but we always survive. Or she says something along those lines. It's been a really long time since I've seen season 1, but I remember that being a really important part of the story. So they could be all that's left, now that I'm thinking about it.
See, that's what I was thinking. But, I mean, obviously you have people like Bo-Katan too, and like, but they're different, you know what I mean? So
I mean, they have Death Watch, they have whatever Bo-Katan is now. They have...
And I would imagine they're limited. It's not like you see them all over the place. So I would imagine it's a pretty small... faction of them, especially ones that are wearing their helmets all the time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think this was very symbolic of that, if that's the case, because now they're still trying to get new, fresh blood in by initiating this new foundling or whatever.
I have a follow-up question for you. So, in the scene, I saw this really interesting theory going around on Twitter is somebody was like, this could be nothing, but you know the Jon Favreau Mandalorian, Paz Vizsla?
Yeah.
You know, the big beefy guy. So somebody pointed out on Twitter that the camera pans to him a lot in that scene during like the baptism. Yeah. And somebody goes, I don't know, I might be pushing this, but is it possible that could be like Paz Vizsla's son who was getting baptized into the Mandalorian way? Interesting theory. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, sometimes cameras pans to different characters, not because they're trying to be intentional, but because it's like, oh, they're all paying attention to this thing. So it could be nothing.
Who's Paz Vizsla hooking up with then, if that's the case? The Armorer?
The Armorer can do so much better, and I have a feeling that she's aware of that as well. So Paz Vizsla's got to be a descendant of Pre-Vizsla, though, right?
Yeah. And the fact that Jon Favreau plays both of them is pretty funny. He loves the Vizslas. What about post-Vizsla?
Pre-Vizsla, post-Vizsla, Paz
pre-Vizsla, Paz Vizsla, and post-Vizsla, and present Vizsla.
What if post-Vizsla is the kid getting baptized?
That's post-Vizsla. Could be, if it's a son, and in post, it's like Post Malone. Post-Vizsla. Also, what's the deal? This also kind of comes up later. I'll hold my question for later.
Okay,
so we have this big crocodile thing that comes out of the water, scary looking, terrifying. Tries to bite the kid, attacking them. What a jerk, by the way, this big crocodile thing.
Which, by the way, why are if creatures like that exist on the planet, why are they doing it in this water? Just go someplace else.
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you?
Like, if you're aware of the wildlife there, you think that they would just go to a different location.
Yeah, no kidding. They all attack this thing. Obviously, they're trying to grapple it. They're trying to put the charges on it to blow it up. And a cool battle scene here. I'm not sure that it was the best first scene back for the show. Like, I know what they were trying to do, because then obviously Din Djarin comes in and is N1 Naboo starfighter, and then shoots torpedoes into the creature, which kills it. And it's supposed to be like this hell yeah moment, which I did feel that, but I don't know that it was as big as it could have been. You know what I mean?
I think
but it was a cool introduction back.
It was a cool introduction. It was just a little long.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's like the hell yeah, Mando's back, but I feel like the hell yeah, Mando's back could have been a different moment. Like, I don't feel like they necessarily had to be fighting a giant water creature. And I know we're going to talk about the following scene, but in the following scene, they make no reference to what just happened in the prior scene, and I thought that was a little odd. You know, where it was just kind of casual.
Jumped in. Yeah, I think what would have been cooler, in my opinion, creatively, would have been like seeing them be persecuted from other people, like watching them get pushed out of a town, or seeing them be kind of like the outcasts and them been in a battle with somebody, sand people,
like the Empire, possibly.
Yeah.
Or what if it was the pirates?
Yeah, the pirates or something like that, and then Mando comes in and saves them. I just thought like that might have been more impactful than a giant crocodile. You know, and then they just don't mention it again. So, but I don't know. I mean, it was still cool to see him like come back and shoot those torpedoes. But I just thought I know what they were trying to do. I just don't know that it had the impact that they would have loved. Also, PETA would be pissed. Hopefully, no giant alien crocodiles were harmed in this. But
no giant alien crocodiles were harmed in the making of this show.
No. So then, after landing his ship, Din Djarin visits the armorer in her caves and asks how he can redeem himself. Here's my question. Why is she like the leader of Mandalorians now? I don't get why he's like asking her, like, what gives her all this authority and power? She's an armorer, I get it, but like, is she the leader of them? He has the Darksaber. What's going on here? He has more integrity and intellect and fighting abilities and experience in the world than she does, just hiding in caves. I don't understand why she is this like leader of them all. Do you know?
The rule maker? Or the rule maker,
she's the one, and then she's all judgy of him, being like, you removed your helmet, you need, and he's like, well, what about the creed and redemption? And she's like, no, you can't, sorry, the mines of Moria and the living waters are there, and they were destroyed in the Great Purge. And he's like, okay, I mean, also I'm thinking, what a dumb cult, like, what a stupid cult. You can't take your helmet off, like, and you're being so judgy of him. Like, he's a good guy, we can all see he's a good guy. What makes you the ruler
leader
of all Mandalorians? Yeah.
Well, first things first, I don't necessarily think that Din fully understands the implications of having the Darksaber. I don't think he understands, like, the legend behind that. I don't think he knows. He
hasn't read Star Wars Legends.
I don't think he's read Star Wars Legends, but correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they've ever mentioned Tar Vizsla, I think is the character's name. No, I take it back. See, now I'm remembering things right after I say them. I think they mentioned him in the Book of Boba Fett, because he was the first Mandalorian Jedi. And the whole legend of the Darksaber surrounds Tar Vizsla because it was in the Jedi Temple after he died, and then Mandalorians went to go liberate the Darksaber and take it back so they could rule their people. And I just don't think Din has that history. And I think he will learn it at some point. I'm guessing this season when he goes to travel to Mandalore. But I don't think he understands the implications of what he actually has, because he tried to hand it off to Bo-Katan, and Moff Gideon was like, no. It has to be won in combat. You can't just hand this off. Yeah. So I don't think Din has the awareness. On top of that, I do agree with you. It's interesting because who made her the armor, like, queen of who
died
the
and made her king?
Who died and made her king? It is very, very strange. It's like,
but I don't think. My question isn't why isn't Din like claiming to be the leader because of the Darksaber. I understand he doesn't get it. You know, I understand that he's not fully aware of what that means. I'm just saying, why don't the other why are they all following her? You know what I mean? Like, what? It's just confusing that she's the leader of all of them.
It might be the culty thing, you know, where I don't know.
She does have like the coolest costume, or like her fur. Like, well,
another question is do they understand the meaning of the Darksaber, and do they reject that?
Maybe.
Like, do they not?
You got to explain that in this episode then. Like, I'm a little confused as to what's going on. That's why maybe the scene didn't feel as impactful to me. Is like, what's going on here? What is this faction of them?
She could have even said.
And, like, they don't even bring up the Darksaber till the end of this episode.
She could have said, the Darksaber has no meaning to our people. She could have said something along those lines where she gave an implication of, like, we don't agree with that. We don't agree with what it represents, and you are an outsider. And unless you can do this thing, which, by the way, can't be done, you're not welcome back into this. Yeah. But it is weird. I said the same thing. I don't understand who made her ruler and why she's the cream of the crop. And
I like her. Don't get me wrong. She's cool. Yeah. I just don't understand why she has power. They haven't explained. There's too much mystery behind her, but she's becoming a bigger and bigger character, and they need to develop that more if she's going to continue to be this driving force. And, like, the fact he's going to her and consulting with her, like, I don't know. I also just personally, from a personal point of view, you don't need other people's approval. Go live your life. You know what I mean? I resent the fact that he's trying to redeem himself. I don't like that. He doesn't need to. You're fine. You know? You're doing just fine. You don't need to subscribe to this cult and have your helmet on all the time. That's dumb. Let's think about it objectively.
Maybe he's just afraid to let that part of himself go. I mean, I sense a lot of fear in this character right now. The character of Din Djarin, I sense a lot of fear in the character, or conflict at least, because, you know, every time he's taken off his helmet, it's because of Grogu. It's because of the connection he has to Grogu. But he still doesn't want to let the religious side of his life go. And to get into this next phase of his life, he's going to have to let go of his creepy cult, which I think is going to be the theme for this season, is Din learning to let this creepy religion go.
No, apparently not.
No,
not so far, at least.
Well, I think he's going to get on this journey to Mandalore and be like, you know what? I didn't understand the full story of Mandalore, and my religion's kind of creepy. Yeah. And maybe I need to let this go to get to the next phase of my life with this child I've come to love and appreciate so much. I don't know. It is, but to fall back on your point, I don't know why the armor is this distinguished leader, because there's been no story on it as far as I can remember. And you're right. I am confused why Din keeps going back to her as like the authority figure. Like she's his parent.
Yeah, it's weird. So Din shows the green Mandalorian inscription he got from Jawa, who said someone got it who visited Mandalore, which means that Din is really looking. Like, it's kind of like what you said. He's looking for this redemption. He's already looked into it. He's going to his mommy for approval, whatever. And it also proves that the entire surface has been crystallized by some kind of rays or something.
The Night of 1,000 Tears.
Yeah. Din Djarin managed to reach... He says the Traveler probably managed to reach the Mines of Mandalore, Mines of Moria, and he says he wants to prove that the mines and the living waters exist. The Armorer accepts his quest...
You left out the most important part.
What's that?
Din must go bathe in the living waters of Mandalore. Yeah, we get to watch Din Djarin take a bath, which is very important. No. I must. This is important. We must see this. It's for scientific purposes. We must watch Din Djarin take a bath.
You just want to see Pedro Pascal naked.
That's exactly what I want. I'm not even going to be subtle.
The Armorer accepts his quest and says this is the way. Grogu coos and watches with interest. I don't know if Grogu got cuter, by the way, or maybe we just missed him a lot, but I think the puppet looks a little bit different. Or I'm sorry, the actor looks a little bit different.
It's a new actor.
So much cuter. I don't know what it is, but they've really nailed down that character in terms of like timing of when to come in and the comedic relief. It's just the pacing's on point and the use of the character's on point.
I think it's both. I think everybody just missed him beyond belief, and they might have made the puppet cuter, just in mannerisms and in movement.
Or just nailed in some of the mannerisms better so it looks more lifelike. So now we see them traveling through hyperspace. Interesting scene here as Grogu's watching the hyperspace tunnel with interest and observes several large shapes traveling alongside them, which I did not know this until watching it. They're called Purgil. They're big space whales, apparently, and they can go really fast in hyperspace, or I don't know how it works, but they're there.
They travel, they're hyperspace traveling space whales. There was an episode of their first appearance was in Star Wars Rebels. They had an episode where, and again, I have not seen Rebels in a really long time, but in that episode, I believe the space whales, like, they're kind of a hazard in space because they can crash with ships, and Hera Syndulla in that episode is like, I've lost a lot of friends because of these creatures, and Ezra's ability is to connect with animals as one of his Force abilities, and he ends up connecting with them, and they all come to a better understanding of the space whales by the end of the episode. But more importantly, in the Rebels season finale, that's how Ezra saves his home planet of Lothal. Is he's on a star cruiser, an Imperial star cruiser, with Grand Admiral Thrawn. And to save the people of Lothal, he uses the space whales to launch himself through hyperspace with Grand Admiral Thrawn on the ship, and then he disappears with them. So with the space whales appearing in The Mandalorian, I feel like it's Dave Filoni's not so subtle way / homage of saying, hey guys, Ezra will be back really, really soon, and here's your little tease of the space whales to get you excited.
Gotcha. All right, well, that's cool. That seems like an interesting little tidbit. We see Din flying the N1 starfighter to Navarro. He's greeted by them. He says, Grogu's obviously curious as to what's going on. He says, we're here to visit an old friend. I get poetry vibes here, similar to Return of the Jedi.
It's like poetry,
similar rhyming, you know, because it's like when Luke is going back to see Yoda, R2 is like, why are we going here? And Luke says, we're going to visit an old friend. And then he goes and sees Yoda before he dies. Kind of similar vibes here, although we don't, Grief Karga is not dead, or maybe he will die. I don't know. But I just get those Star Wars vibes here. So Din is walking through Navarro. We see it's a lot cleaner and safer and really, really cool world building stuff here as we get to see the those little monkey things. What are they called again? Yeah, the little salacious bee crumbs, whatever.
Oh yeah, salacious bee crumbs. Yeah.
And they see just like the ambiance of this city. It was just very Star Warsy. Well done. Good practical effects. Really good world building stuff here. They pass the statue of IG-11, and he's reminded of his adventures with him before he sacrificed himself to save everybody previously. Then we see Greef Karga come out. Love to see him. He's now High Magistrate, and he takes Din to his office, says he has become an official trade spur of the Hydean Way. I don't know what that is. Karga also tells him that Navarro's been undergoing a lot of construction boom due to the mining on the asteroid fields. He offers Grogu and Din a piece of land. Very nice. Din replies he's not ready to settle down. He's an apostate. Super culty stuff going on here, but
really culty.
Take the land
I don't even know if his group is religious so much as they are like a really creepy cult that does like Ouija boards and stuff.
Yeah. Super weird. I'm an apostate, dude. Yeah, that's some Scientology shit.
Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's like a religion. I think that's like low key, culty Scientology weird stuff going on.
100%. So then Karga's trying to reassure Din he would fit in, and then a protocol droid comes in and says that some pirates are in town. Now, I love this protocol droid. I think these are the elements of the episode I really, really appreciated and loved. It's like that voice that protocol droid had is the similar to the protocol droid that's in Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi. It sounds the exact same. That's the stuff that brings you back into the world. And like it's the music, it's the sound effects, it's the practical effects, it's the campiness of Star Wars. And even that little protocol droid right there, I was like, yes, dude, this is so Star Wars. So I loved that. I thought like just those little details I think enhanced this episode so much for me. And again, this is the kind of stuff I felt Andor lacked a little bit of. The droids like this and just like the campiness of it, you know what I mean? Because Andor happens before A New Hope, obviously, before Rogue One. So I would have liked to see more of those elements that are so integral to the Star Wars universe at that point in time. And I think in this episode we got a lot of that.
You also have more fun. It makes your watching experience that much more enjoyable.
See, attention to detail, dude. That's what makes a good show a good show. Is like, I'm rewatching The Sopranos right now. I think I told you that with Beth, and that show's so good. The writing is so unbelievably good. The acting is so unbelievably good. Like you can't really compare that to a Star Wars show, but I think one of the reasons that show is so good, the attention to detail is insane. It's absolutely insane, and you don't even really think about it in the moment. And then there'll be certain things like it'll show someone's like ID card, right? And it'll be like their name is Edward, and their ID card will be like D. Edward Williams or something. Just that attention to detail that he goes by his middle name instead of going by his first name, and so his first name's actually like David, but he goes by Edward, so his name's actually D. Edward Williamson, whatever. And then I'm like, that's the name of his business. It means that writers had to put thought into that. And it's so much easier. And the obvious answer is just to go, his name's Edward Williams. Then someone goes, no, let's put D. Edward Williams. And it's just a tiny bit of realism right there, because there's a lot of people that go by their middle names, right? It's that tiny bit of realism that just makes the show that much more believable. And it's attention to detail. That's my point, is like... And I think with this show, there was a lot of attention to detail in it already with the Navarro world building stuff.
You can tell they pay attention to what made the original trilogy so special and what really set it apart from other films of that time. And to take these tactics and apply it to this show today in 2023, like nearly 50 years later, just really shows how much John and Dave care.
Yeah.
And I think that there were multiple other elements in this episode in particular that I want to talk about as it goes on. But one of those attention to detail moments like you're talking about is the puppetry was the most obvious thing to me in this episode. And I loved it. I loved it so much because it felt very Muppety. It felt very Jim Henson. It felt very Frank Oz. Like it... The way the puppetry moves is just so trademark 70s. It's just got that 70s stamp on it that I love seeing it in a modern day. Like they're still applying those same tactics to a Star Wars show today, and that just takes me back.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I think that was a huge highlight of this episode, and you felt the Dave Filoni presence. You felt a little bit of that George Lucas presence. And that's the thing. Like, I don't need Star Wars to be this overproduced, perfect thing. I want it to have the imperfections that made it what it was to begin with. And they brought that back. And we can talk about that more as the scenes progress here, because there's a couple really good examples of that. So anyways, a protocol droid tells them that the pirates are down there. They invite Karga for a drink. He comes down and says hi, but then Karga says, no, this is actually a school now. And then the pirate insists on drinking at the school due to its history as a bar. I thought this was so weird. So weird. What is he expecting is going to happen? You're going to go into a school and get a drink? I was so confused by this. Like, I thought
it was a bizarre writing choice.
Super bizarre writing choice. Super bizarre. You could have come up with conflict a million other ways. And they decided to be like, no, I want to drink in the school. And they're like, what are you talking about? You can't drink in there. I don't know what you want me to do. And he's like, well, we have to. And they're like, you won't let me drink in the school, so I'm going to pull a gun on you. Like, what? It was just a really bizarre choice.
It was very strange because, like how you just said, they could have come up with a million other reasons for conflict. I thought that this scene exhibited some poor writing on Jon Favreau's part. Like, really? This is the only reason? Like, he doesn't have beef with grief. Like, he doesn't have beef with grief. He doesn't have like a tension with, like, you can tell that Grief and this other guy whose name escapes me have some conflict, but I don't feel like that conflict was fleshed out to a point where you were like, oh, they, like, maybe Grief Karga used to be a pirate at one point and these two guys had a history together, and this guy comes back and he's like, you screwed us over with XYZ and now I'm gonna shoot and kill your people unless you do this for me. Yeah, but literally the fight was over a drink.
Yeah, or he's used to like getting missions from Grief, and Grief's like, I don't do that anymore. Maybe they're like, you sent us on a bad mission somewhere that went wrong and you knew it would go wrong, or you've gone too straight. Like, there's a million other things you could have done. It's just, I thought it was really bizarre that they're like, I want to drink a beer in a school. What?
Which, by the way, it doesn't add up because then, well, it doesn't add up from a dialogue standpoint. Also, Grief Karga offers him a drink in his office. He's still offering you alcohol, but just in his office. So go in his office if you want to drink. Like, why does this guy have such attachments to this bar really nice. That is a school now?
He was being super nice. I think they should have had him actually go up there and have a drink, and then they start talking, and then some other conflict happens. But yeah, that was weird.
Well, maybe the pirate comes down. Maybe the pirate comes down and he's all friendly towards Grief Karga. And Grief Karga's like, great, come up in my office. And then you find out that guy's intentions were to really actually kill Grief Karga. And then Mando steps in. He's like, nope. Yeah. And then they kill him in his office. Like, is it a super big problem? No, but I did think it was a poor writing moment. Yeah. I do really not think the writing was really good there.
So, yeah, the guy, Karga refuses to back down. The pirate's saying he's accusing Karga of becoming soft now, and then Karga like motions towards his gun to get a gunfight, whatever. They reach out, he shoots the blaster out of his hand. Cool moment here. Says that Navarro is no longer friendly to pirates. Cool. Tells the pirate to leave. And then when all the other pirates reach for their weapons, Din just blasts them to oblivion, which was cool. And then Din is like, you shouldn't have spared him. And then Karga's like, he's going to take the message home. And then we're obviously like, all right, this guy's coming back later. He's angry. So while the service droids are removing the pirates, Karga tells Din that he needs a new marshal. He says, this is a funny scene, he just explains away Cara Dune and then Moff Gideon. So we find out where Moff Gideon is. He's in a New Republic war tribunal. And then Cara Dune is just recruited by New Republic Special Forces. I guess we're never going to see her again. She's just gone. They explain it away in this one sentence. Maybe we will. I doubt it. To be honest with you, and I mentioned this before the episode started, I don't really mind. I didn't really love her character. There were some interesting elements that it brought to the show, but it was cornier than it was adding to the show. I don't think she's a super necessary character to have. What do you think?
I think your point's valid. Well, I mean, honestly, I wasn't really expecting them to give a reason for her having left the show, so I appreciate that they even said something about it. What if they were
just like, somehow Cara Dune died?
I would have reached through the TV and squished everyone.
They should have. That would have been funny.
Yeah, I mean, we're now getting to this point with like all Star Wars characters in some format somehow. Crosshair returned.
Yeah,
things like that. I don't know. Like, I'm indifferent. I did enjoy some aspects of Cara Dune's relationship to Din Djarin. Like, I did enjoy their dynamic. It was a little sidelined in season 2 just because they brought in Fennec Shand and Boba Fett, and then Mayfield, played by Bill Burr. So they had a much larger cast of characters like Bo-Katan and her merry little group of Mandalorians. And so she wasn't exactly a highlight of season 2. I'm not weeping over the fact that we're not going to see her, but I think had she, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it's for the best, especially because I don't know what role she would play if she went with Din to Mandalore.
Yeah, I don't.
What
think
would
so
she have done?
The main point of her character was to set up a spin-off show, I think, and I don't necessarily want that. I don't think she's a compelling enough character, and I don't think we need it. I think Mandalorian and Grogu is great.
Well,
Karga's
she was
great.
gonna.
Having Boba Fett is great. Fennec Shand is great. Let's keep it tight.
She was gonna be the main character of Rangers of the New Republic, but they canceled that show, didn't they?
I don't think
that one's not even.
Yet, no,
I don't know because
canceled it though.
It kind of fell off the face of the planet, but as far as I understood, that she was going to spearhead that show.
Yeah, Army of
before
the
whole
Republic,
fiasco went down, or Rangers of the New Republic, Space Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah,
helmed by Buzz Lightyear.
They explain her away here, which is interesting. They at least get a mention of what's going on with her. So now Karga, asks what services he can provide. He wants to get the IG-11 droid back to help explore Mandalore. I don't know why he needs that specific one, but. I mean, I would guess all IG droids
probably the droid
same.
that made him trust other droids.
Yeah, but I mean, IG droids are kind of all the same, aren't they? Either way, he responds.
It's nostalgia, man.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely a sucker for nostalgia. So Din is really dead set on rebuilding this droid. So they take it. They start to revive the droid, but the droid comes back with its memories to want to terminate Grogu. Creepy scene here as it starts to crawl around and trying to kill them. Din's throwing Grogu to Karga. He's
throwing like a football.
Yeah,
that made me laugh.
And then they break him. A bust or something falls on his head. A bust of Karga falls on his head. And so now they decide to bring the unit to the Anzellan droidsmiths, the little Babu Fricks, which I didn't know they were called Anzellans until recently, but they are becoming my favorite aliens in the galaxy.
No, bad baby,
yeah.
bad baby.
That's a good impression. Hilarious scene here as they're trying to repair him, saying they can't. Very funny scene between the little Babu Fricks, the Anzellans, and Grogu, and then Grief Karga translating, even though Din can understand them. Very good Star Wars-y vibe.
I think that's the Star Wars-y vibe that I like here. That those stupid little character interactions where in the second season, I think, when Din has Grogu try and fix the ships by switching out the wires. He's like, no, the blue wire goes where the red wire is, and the red wire. It's a really tiny character moment, but it endears us to them. And it just adds to the wholesomeness of the show. And so when you have little moments like that with Grief translating the Anzellan's speech to Din, even if what the Anzellans are saying is in perfectly understandable basic language, Din's like just looking over at Grief like, really? You're translating the things I already understand. I think it really endears us to those characters, and it's very campy and cheesy, but that's the vibe of Star Wars. That's what makes it so much fun. It's like C-3PO walking in at the most inappropriate moment when Han and Leia are making out. And he's like, sir, I bypassed the compressor, or whatever he says. Yeah. And then Han's like, thank you very much. I just really enjoy those character moments. They're very endearing and sweet.
That's where you can tell Dave Filoni has his fingers, and he gets it. That's what it's supposed to be.
Also, shout out to the way that Din was sitting in that little Anzellan space. He looked like Luke sitting in like Yoda's hut. I just love the comical scenario where it's like the large character in like the small area, and the Anzellan's puppetry was fantastic, especially in the interactions with Grogu.
I love this.
Fantastic.
Not just with the Star Wars universe, but any universe. More practical effects. Bring back practical effects because they are amazing.
They're so much more believable too. Like, we all know it's a puppet, but you believe it so much more than CGI.
100%. There's some uncanny valley thing that happens with CGI where your brain knows it's not real. And like even with the big crocodile at the beginning, you're like, yeah, okay, it's not that scary. I know it's, not real. But with these little puppets, it's just, they come to life. That's why Baby Yoda's Grogu is so lovable to everyone. It looks and feels real. So anyways, this ends with the Anzellans needing a special part. And so now the Mandalorian has to go on another mission to get a special part, to get his IG unit so he can go to the Mines of Mandalore. So they leave. And leaving above Navarro, Din is giving Grogu some life lessons, saying there's more to being a Mandalorian than fighting, how to navigate, and then finds out, dun dun dun, that there are pirate starfighters approaching from the pirate we'd seen earlier. Vane, I guess is what his name was. Something Vane, right?
You're so vain. You probably think this song is about
Nikto Vane, I think is his name. Yeah.
Anyways. Nicotine Vane.
Yeah, Nicotine Vane. And so he starts chasing him, and
no. He goes, "Avast, ye Mandalorian!"
Oh yeah, he goes Avast, which I'm like, that was a weird choice. Why did he say Avast?
I don't know. It was a total Barbossa move.
Avast, it was. And what plan be that?
And what plan be that?
Yeah, him saying Avast as a pirate, I was like, oh, that's a little on the nose.
It's a little too on the nose.
But yeah, it was definitely way too on the nose. And he says they serve the Pirate King Gorian Shard. So then they start chasing him through an asteroid field. Really cool scene here. They are chasing around. Din obviously outsmarts them, picks them off one by one. Really good, fun scene here.
It reminded me a lot of the chasing with Jango, Boba, and Obi-Wan.
Yep. I got this exact same vibes. Very, very cool. I wish we could get the seismic charges in here. That would have been dope. But the other thing you can see, other good attention to detail here, is you can see the mining facilities on the asteroids that Grief Cargo was talking about, which is what's benefiting Navarro so much right now. As you can see those little operations. Attention to detail. I appreciate that, as they're flying around. Very cool. This is obviously moments where you need CGI, but it was very well done. And good pacing of the fight scene here. But he eventually gets led to the giant ship for Gorian Shard, we have a new Star Wars favorite. I feel like this big tree-beard looking character.
God, dude, let me tell you. So first things first, every time somebody mentions a pirate or a pirate king, I automatically think Hondo, and I am just anxiously awaiting the day where we get Hondo in live action. Because they had me for a second. I was like, if this is Hondo, I am literally going to scream, cry, and throw up. So I feel like every time there's a mention of a pirate, my brain is hopeful that we'll eventually get some kind of Hondo mention or showing Hondo, but I digress.
I'm surprised we haven't yet, honestly.
I still think it's going to happen. I just think it's going to be very unexpected. Because right now I think that everybody really expects it at every turn. And I think it's going to be a very unexpected thing where he just shows up and we're going to be like, oh, wait, holy shit, that's Hondo. So I'm anxious for when they do it because I know they're eventually going to do it. I just don't know when. But to follow up, what's this new green planty captain's name again?
Gorian Shard.
Gorian Shard. Talk about loving the practical effects. Dude, I was crazy about the way they presented this guy to us, because the way he stands up out of the chair and then moves towards the camera, it was just so Muppety, but it worked so well. I was taken back to the Jim Henson days of Muppet movies with the, what's that big creepy Muppet's name that moves around, the one with the big mouth? The way that guy moves. What is that one's name?
Fuck, it's something hilarious. I forget his name.
I don't remember his name, but I'm thinking of the Great Muppet
That's
Caper.
That's gonna drive me nuts.
Hang on, let me look it up.
Sweetums. It's
is
Sweetums.
It?
Yes, it's Sweetums.
Sweetums?
I think so. Sweetums. Yeah, it's Sweetums.
Is it Sweetums?
Yeah, the large hairy yogurt Muppet. Yeah.
Okay. Let me tell you, the way that this guy moved, the way his mouth moved, the pirate captain, looked exactly like Sweetums from Muppets, but just done in a more realistic way. And I was crazy about it. It looked, it takes me back to the Men in Black aliens, like the way that those aliens looked, you know, it looks like the original trilogy Star Wars aliens, but maybe with like a little bit more attention to detail. Like they've perfected it.
You know who else it looked like was Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs. Kind of. He kind of looked like Pizza the Hut.
Oh my god! I didn't even think of that. I totally forgot. Oh my god! What a throwback! Oh my god! Great callback. I love Spaceballs. No, but dude, you get what I'm saying? Like I don't know what it was, but that to me was the pinnacle of Star Warsiness in this episode. I loved everything about the way that character moved. I love how he spoke. I love how the camera panned in on him. It was just, oh my gosh, it just felt like great. It was old style Hollywood in modern day, and I just appreciated it so much.
Yeah, it was awesome. I agree with you. Really good effects. The voice actor was amazing as well.
He was fantastic.
Excellent, whoever that was. Let's see if we can look it up. Nonso Anozi. Sorry, I'm probably butchering that name, but he's you'd recognize him if you saw him. He's been in Cinderella, Conan the Barbarian, The Last Legion. Really, really, really good job doing some voice acting here. So I appreciated that a lot. Moving on. So yeah, really cool. This was just a nice, fun scene. He flies away, gets away from the pirates, and goes to, I think it's called the Kalevala. What's it called? Kaliva?
With the Mandalorian castle?
Mm-hmm. With another planet within the Mandalore system.
I don't
It's a Mandalorian castle, Kalevala or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. They're greeted by a blue droid. They walk into a throne room where they are greeted by none other than Bo-Katan, who is pouting. She is very bitter. She said she's abandoned her plans to take Mandalore. Without the Darksaber, her forces melted away. She mentions that her fleet have reverted to being mercenaries. So, first of all, sick castle she has. Second of all, she's just pouting.
By
very
herself
unhappy.
on a throne.
Sitting on her throne like a child. Clearly bitter and doesn't like Din. Even though it's not Din's fault, he didn't know any better. She's just being a child. She asks if he still has the Darksaber. He says yes. She tells him to use it to lead the people. And he says, have you given up on your plan? And she says that the children of the Watch cult gave up on Mandalore before the Purge. She asked where Din was during the Purge.
He was like 6 years old?
Yeah, he wasn't really around. But she's so judgmental, dude. She tells him to go home and there's no one left, and that the children of the Watch and other factions divided their people. Din says that he intends to return to Mandalore in order to bathe in the living waters and be forgiven for his transgressions. She thinks he's foolish, which I am inclined to agree with. I do think it's a bit foolish, although it's a good plot line, so I'm happy that he's going. And says there's nothing magical about the mines of Mandalore. She says they supplied Beskar ore to their ancestors, and the rest is superstition. Bo-Katan says that Mandalore has been poisoned and polluted and plundered, the triple P's. And he reminds her that the curse was a lie, that she once said the curse was a lie, and that to make up her mind. She says to Din that the mines are located beneath the Civic Center, which I thought was funny. That just reminds me of like a town square, like, oh, we're at the Civic Center.
The city of Sundari.
In Sundari. And so he says he's going to find out whether or not it's been truly poisoned. And then she says, goodbye, Din Djarin.
Oh, man.
And that's how we leave the episode for the first episode back of Mandalorian Season 3.
So I have a couple thoughts on this final scene. She mentions the city of Sundari, which automatically gets me pumped up because that is where the final battle of the Clone Wars took place with Ahsoka and Captain Rex. It took place in the city of Sundari.
Right.
Which at this point, that was 20 years ago. So I'm very curious. We're getting into a Clone Wars gold mine here. So one of the questions I have to ask is, I am almost anticipating Clone Wars flashbacks in the sense of maybe Bo-Katan and Satine's relationship. You know, we're not entirely sure on what Bo-Katan's journey is this season, but Katie Sackhoff, the actress who plays her, said that we're going to kind of get into Bo-Katan's mental state and everything that she's been through since Satine's murder. And everything that Bo-Katan's been through with Death Watch. So my number one question would be, how privy are we to Clone Wars flashbacks, and could we kind of get some callbacks to what happened in the Battle of Mandalore when Ahsoka and Rex were there, and they were trying to reclaim it with Bo-Katan, because that is an integral part of her story. Mm-hmm. And I have to ask myself, if Din's going back there, then maybe Bo-Katan tracks him down, because we do see her with him in other parts of the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer. So first thing would be Clone Wars flashbacks. The other thing, too, is I'm so confused as to why to forgive someone of their transgressions in Mandalorian culture, you just have to bathe in the waters of Mandalore. Like, that's it. That's all you have to do. You just have to take a bath. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe we're gonna get some more lore behind that, but that just makes me laugh, because I thought it would have been. I guess the journey is going to be Mandalore being more like a labyrinth at this point. I mean, you compared it to Atlantis when we did our Mando Season 3 trailer breakdown. Mm-hmm. So I could see this being more about Din going through the different booby traps or the labyrinth journey to get to the waters. It's just interesting to me.
You mentioned Labyrinth. We've been talking about the Jim Henson Muppets and stuff. Maybe it's very similar to the movie Labyrinth with David Bowie, with all the practical effects, where it's like they're going through a crazy journey. Which it's not going to happen, but I would love that. I love that movie.
Really funny.
That
we get the Mandalorian's take on Labyrinth. I don't know. I'm game for that. It's just interesting. Again, we don't have a lot of details on exactly what this journey looks like for Din, but right now it just sounds like he has to take a bath, and I'm interested to see what it is beyond that, because that seems very simplistic.
Yeah, he's apparently someone has received a screener for the second episode, and they say that he goes next episode. So we get into this pretty quickly of him being in Mandalore. So we'll be able to find out this next week, I believe, of him being there. Yeah. So, which is great. And you know what, by the way, so I agree with all your thoughts. I think it's going to be interesting to see where we go with the Clone Wars references here and all that. But one other thing just about the episode in general is the fact that a lot of the clips from the trailer were in this episode. I loved, because it means they didn't give too much away. Yep. Which makes me really excited for the rest of the season. Hopefully they unpack a lot. Obviously they were trying to keep it close to the chest, and that's a really good sign for me overall.
I think so too, because when they limit, I agree. Now that I'm thinking about it, save for maybe 2 or 3 shots in the trailer, I think we did see a majority of what was in there already. So I can guarantee that we have some surprises along the way. Also, Dave Filoni has talked a lot about how he's had the idea for the Mandalorian since, I believe, Clone Wars finished its initial season 6 run. So he's had this idea for a while, and I think he always planned to have all these big Clone Wars tie-ins, because he was finishing up Clone Wars at the time that he was coming up with the idea for the show of The Mandalorian. And so I think it's only fair to say that we're only going to get more and more Clone Wars connections as the show goes on. Like, I did not expect Bo-Katan in season 2. Like, remember that night I texted you and I was like, you need to watch this episode right now because I'm freaking out as a Clone Wars fan, and you texted me back and you went, holy shit, Bo-Katan. I still have those texts that you sent me. And then further to that, we got Ahsoka Tano. So I'm really excited, because when Mando connects back to Clone Wars, it's like, oh, you're doing the perfect blend of everything that I love about the original trilogy, but you're also bringing in prequel trilogy, which makes it for like the perfect show for me. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I can almost guarantee this season we are going to get another appearance of Ahsoka somehow. I really do believe that, to set up for the Ahsoka show. And 100%. I think Sabine Wren from Rebels is going to show up as well.
I agree. I think we're going to get all of them, which is a good segue. So let's do our final thoughts. There's not many viewer questions today. There's only a couple. They're pretty short, so we won't get into viewer questions today or thoughts or theories. But let's do a final thoughts. You know, for me, I agree. I think we'll definitely see Ahsoka later on. I think they're going to get into the storyline really, really quick of going to Mandalore, figuring out all this stuff. I think this was a really good first episode back. Good setup. They didn't get into too much, but it was still exciting and fresh and had really good cinematography and music and practical effects, which, by the way, the music too felt pretty cohesive with Ludwig van Beethoven. So that was one thing we didn't mention, but I wanted to say that felt really cohesive and good.
The composer for Book of Boba Fett was really good. So
yeah. No, it's been great. I agree with you. I think we're going to see a lot of struggle with Din, a lot of what you kind of mentioned at the beginning, the conflict within him, and we're going to see old characters come back, like Ahsoka, maybe Sabine. And I think they're going to really start connecting these worlds. We're going to see Boba Fett too. I'm 100% sure of that. He's got to come in at some point, which will be dope. So I'm just really looking forward to it. They didn't give too much away. It was good enough to keep me excited and ready for the next episode without giving too much away about what's going to happen this season. So overall for me, I'd say it's probably like a 7.6 is what I'd probably give this episode.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, honestly, this episode did exactly what I thought it was going to do, which is reintroduce everybody to the characters and go, hey, guys, do you remember these plot threads? And do you remember what these characters did? And now that you remember them, now we can actually get back into the story because it's been a while. And, I guarantee that a large part of the fan base hasn't watched season 1 or 2, like back to back in a very, very long time. So I think the purpose of this episode was reintroduction. I don't know if it was the strongest written episode, but then again, I don't have a huge problem with it because it's the start to a new season and we've barely gotten into it. So I'm not like...
I will also just put my trust in Dave Filoni. He knows what he's doing. This is him and Jon Favreau's like baby of a show. Mm-hmm. And they crushed last season. And last season you have to remember also, we had no clue. Remember they have like the Gamorrean guards fighting and all that stuff. And that ended up being one of my favorite seasons of television, like ever. So I'm just sitting here like very, very hopeful and optimistic for the next couple episodes.
Yeah, I think we're in for a really fun ride. I'm stoked to have Mando back. I would rate it probably around the same as you. It wasn't incredible, but it was a very solid start. So it would probably be 7.6, 7.7. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Well above average. I think, that's a great rating, by the way.
Yeah, that's very high. It's not like it wasn't fantastically written by any means, but I'm not expecting
it wasn't like a Luke Skywalker and Mando season 2. That's like a 9.8 for me. But still really good.
It was. I had fun. It was. I think I said in my reaction video, I said this is so weird, but it's fun, and a lot of people responded. They were like, "Yeah, that's valid." They're like, it was just weird fun, but I think that's what Star Wars should be. I love the fun, the camp, the action, the wholesomeness of the adopted family dynamic, and I'm so anxious to get into
wacky aliens, Gorian Shard, the Babu Frick people.
I'm telling you, man, I don't know what it was about Gorian Shard, but he was the highlight.
It's the practical effects. It's really well done. It's the attention to detail, and that makes me excited for the rest of the season because they're doing it right and they're doing justice to this universe. So
this is the most Star Warsy show.
Super Star Warsy. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I think this was really, really good introduction back. I'm super stoked for next week. And if you guys want to check out our episodes next week, be sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell if you'd like to be notified of when our episodes come out, which is every weekend. We're doing Bad Batch Breakdown and Mando Breakdown now, so there's a lot of fresh Star Wars content out. And if you want to be a part of it, you got to be subscribed. Also, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at *Star_Wars_pod. You can also find us anywhere you get your podcasts. If you wanted to watch these on Spotify, you can watch our video Spotify. You can also listen on Apple. Please leave us a 5-star review and a comment or something to help boost us up in the rankings. If you do, leave a comment here. Let us know what you guys thought of this episode and what your theories are on our community page. And if we get some good questions and theories, we will be giving out free t-shirts. Who doesn't love a free t-shirt? And on that note, go to our merch shop, which you can probably see below. There's pins, hats, t-shirts that Melissa designed. But check us out there, and lots more good stuff is on the way. If you guys are new and you made it through this whole episode, thank you for joining us. If you're returning, you guys know we love you and we appreciate the fun commentary that we engage in. So thanks for listening. We appreciate it. But that's it for this episode of Mandalorian Breakdown Season 3, Episode 1. Any final thoughts?
I am just really happy to be here, and I'm happy to be back with Mando and Baby Grogu. Let's go Season 3.
Let's go Season 3. Baby Yoda for life. We'll see you guys next time on another Star Wars podcast. Bye.
See you guys later.